Here we are. We are going live now. Welcome back to The Change Physician. I am Melissa Cady, the Challenge Doctor, with my co-host, Dr. Kevin Cuccaro, and we're part of the Change Physician podcast. If you happen to be seeing it over on my personal page, Challenge Doctor, this is actually going live on the Change Physician page on Facebook. And this is where we do our Saturday salutations, usually around this time on Saturdays, to say hi and give you a little bit of a summary of what's happened on the podcast and share maybe some recent great things or exciting things or things of gratitude that either Kevin or I like to share with our community. So welcome to Saturday Salutations, and hello, Kevin.
And hello, Melissa. How are you today?
I'm great. Did I give you enough time to do all your shares?
You almost, I told you in their wisdom, Facebook now makes it so to go to my actual professional page, I have to copy the link and then copy. I don't know why. I just don't understand why I just can't. Why I can't just do it from there? I can, because it's only my personal professional page, like the business of Kevin Cuccaro DO, but my other website for Straight Shot Health, I can share directly. So if anybody out there understands these weird things with Facebook,
help Kevin out.
Help me. What's that? Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope on this stuff.
That's right. Well,
right, I think I did it.
Yeah, let's see. Today is the 11th. Right. We are the 11th. So as of this past week, you want me to share what we had on our episodes? Or do you want to do it?
I want to do it.
Of course, you should do it.
I should do this, right? And we're starting from 12/5, right?
Yeah, 12/5 Sunday.
Okay, so Sunday 12/5. What we had was the fabulous Dr. Bill Lear, who Dr. Lear is a physician who is trained in Canada, has an extraordinarily interesting story that kind of went up his experiences going into medical school, what his choices were there, how he started in primary and emergency care, how he then transitioned into derm, how he went from derm to Mohs, and then how he's a medical device entrepreneur. So there are a whole lot of stuff in that episode. It was particularly fascinating to me because it just happens that Bill's my literally next door neighbor. And I've always known that he's an awesome dude, and I know he's had some really good stories, but it was a fascinating, it was good to hear the whole thing. And it's just amazing. I learned a whole lot about him and his personal journey. And then the second episode where he starts talking about this transition into medical devices, again, a lot more detail there. And I particularly love it because this company actually solves a real problem versus so much of the medical garbage out there. He was kind enough to not name names. But if you know anything about medical devices, there's a couple of subspecialties in medicine that are notoriously horrible. There's one that is awful. There's at least two medical devices that I know on the market that I know for sure, and I could name, but won't do it because they have a lot more money than me, that currently have literally no data on improved outcomes. In fact, the data suggests that they actually worsen outcomes, and yet they're being used. So his device doesn't do that. It's super cool. They got awesome data because he's a physician and a scientist. And so super, 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 super fun episode. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But
yeah, I was astounded at the amount of research he had done before. And we'll get into this in our deep dive later, but I think it was interesting that he had an experience as a researcher before he went to medical school.
Yeah. I mean, that was the fun thing for me, is to just kind of learn about that. And I got to say, I'm going to kind of tie this into the gratefulness and the Saturday salutations, is there's these opportunities. If you have people that you perhaps know, sitting down and actually having a real conversation with them where you're almost like interviewing, you're not interrogating them, but you're trying to, making it less about you and then just having this conversation to learn about them. It was a good reminder to me to listen more, and that there's some fascinating people doing really, really amazing things that you may not even be thinking of, like literally next door to you. So how many of us have a neighbor that we haven't spoken to with who knows? I mean, people are amazing, right? People have these amazing stories, and actually sit down with them. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe your elderly neighbor has an experience in war, or maybe they served overseas, or maybe they were involved in their community when they were younger. I mean, there's all these things that we're missing. Not everybody, some of us, maybe me, because I'm such an introvert, but super fun and again, super, super pleasurable. And like, maybe I should knock on all my neighbors' doors to find out what else we got down the street. But anyway, it was a fun episode.
Yeah, there's like, I don't know. It's so funny how it's so easy to, in this last year, just what you said, like it's so easy to stay divided or stay separate from people and from afar, call them different, but the more you engage with people and get to know them and recognize we all have our imperfections, and that there's a little sliver of something you probably like about someone that you may have said something negative about. Like there's still, I mean, yes, there are some bad people out there, but in general, I think most people, we just come from different places, but yet we have some interesting stories and we can learn a lot from each other, and we probably be better united as people, whether it's a country or a community, or to me, it's just a global community. But yeah, you can learn some pretty cool stuff about people. Why are you giving me a smirk?
Well, because you went a lot farther. Yeah, because I was
you're just sticking with your neighbor. I'm sticking with
your neighbor, because then you're moving into like full on conflict resolution, and that's a whole different topic.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. There is some interesting data on that. Yeah, there's some interesting data on that, and it does come down to what you're basically saying is comes from conversations. Yeah. And we are so divided, and you would think that there's no way that we can approximate that divide, but there's actually literature on this. There's research on it. And guess what it says? It's not easy. It's possible, but it does start from a listening perspective rather than a telling, and certainly the stuff what we do where we post stuff and yell at each other. And yes, I'm definitely I do it. I admit it. And but I also don't think I'm going to change anybody by doing it. It's like, yeah. I'm sort of like, a lot of times I'm just kind of
getting on your soapbox,
other people around, and maybe some of the people on the fringes.
Yeah. Somebody waiting for a leader to lead them.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's certainly interesting.
Yeah. Well, tell them about what followed after that episode.
So after that episode, then we have the deep dive where we're going to talk about Bill behind his back, which is always interesting, because I actually have a whole page of notes on takeaways and important points that you'll have to listen to the episode about. But anyway, so we do the deep dive. It's always kind of fun. And then we'll be talking about 2021.
Yeah.
Like, what have we learned through 2021? And those will be posting on the 16th and the 19th. If I get my dates correct. So
yeah, and in case you guys didn't catch it, his neighbor, we actually split the first episode on Sunday was like his story leading up to his entrepreneurial journey with starting the Suture Guard, and so the next episode that releases past Thursday is kind of like from Suture Guard on. Yeah,
we're finding, actually, kind of going back to the conversation thing, as this is a recurring problem, is once you start talking to somebody, there's so much more fascinating stuff that you just need more and more episodes with them, which I think, we try to do, and we're going to be bringing back more of our past guests, simply because there's no way you can learn everything that you want to learn out of one single episode for most people. I mean, there's a couple that you're like, okay, but just the stories alone, the physician journeys are good, and then almost everybody that we've talked to are doing other new and interesting things. So a lot of information there.
Dr. Lear's conversation, but there's so many lessons that could come from all these different little tangents he took and along the way. So definitely have to listen to those. Anything else you want to add from a gratitude or a cool thing that happened this past week, or anything you did?
We always do this, right? And then everything blanks. And then I had something else. Here's one, because I was like, I forgot to talk about this 2 weeks ago. So I have a number. One of the things I want to bring up, because I was going to talk about this like 2 or 3 weeks ago, was an appreciation for dentists, because I had this super, super, super weird experience 2 weeks ago. I think it was almost literally 2 weeks ago to the day, where I was on our couch watching TV, and I was kind of like feeling how you do feel something in your mouth or whatever, feel your tongue. And it was the most bizarre it was so weird, because all of a sudden I kind of felt something gritty and kind of grindy. And then I'm like, what the hell's happening? And have you ever had those dreams where your like teeth fall out or your teeth sort of just disintegrate? Have you ever had dreams like that?
I don't remember if I did.
Okay. Well, I've had them before. And I'm like where your teeth just like fall out of your mouth or they do something. And I'm like, oh my God, I think my tooth is disintegrating. And it was one of those super like just crazy experiences where your awareness sort of expands and you almost don't realize if you are sleeping or if you're dreaming. I wasn't sure where I was. Like, I didn't know if I was awake or not, but it did. My front tooth, the back of it peeled off, like just split off the back of the tooth. It was insane.
Literally.
And literally it just went, and I don't have teeth problems. Like I'm still like, I don't know why this happened, but of the two incisors, this one here, the back of it just peeled off and there was a chip, a flat piece. And so then you have this tooth that's got a chip in it. And I'm like, well, I'm worried because if the front should happen or chip, because it's now a lot thinner, then I'll have this gap in my, anyway. Talked to my dentist and they got me in. And what was super cool is dentists have some of the coolest technology, and they use this amalgam stuff, kind of looked at your color of your teeth, and then put this like paste on the back and kind of lined it in and smoothed it. And it's a light sensitive amalgam. So then they shine these lasers on it, and it hardens.
Yeah.
And what it made me remind me of is there are all these majors, like the stuff when I went to college, I didn't even know of all the cool stuff that there is out there. And one of them being material sciences, where you actually study the, how new and new improved materials are. And I was like, this is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And if I'm remembering correctly, the technology actually came from, I think it came out of either ship repairs or something, where they would use this stuff, and then someone was like, "Ooh, this makes sense. We can probably do something similar for teeth."
Yeah.
Moved it over to the dentist, or maybe vice versa. But it was super awesome, and I was like, I had to share it, and I totally forgot. So that was a couple weeks ago sharing. This week's, of course, we're in the middle of the holiday season, and it's always just been a lot of fun. My son is now back from his first quarter of college. He went to school locally. We are very, very lucky. We have a very good college 2 miles down the street from us. So it was not like it was a huge journey, but it's kind of fun to have him in the house again. And my kids are just awesome. So I'm always thankful for them. And it's when we're all in the house together, I think we all kind of enjoy hanging out together. So those are my two big things for this week.
That's awesome. Let's see. Well, I got to mention, and it's so funny, I sometimes don't realize until I catch up with a friend that they've actually been listening to some of my episodes. I'm like, okay, everything is going on with me. Okay, now I got to ask you all the questions. But like I planted almost 800 tulip bulbs and flower bulbs in one day. Got the coolest, like, I forgot the name of it, but literally I step on it and it can go down to 6, or I can do 4-inch or 2-inch, and it'll pull a plug of soil out. Literally just punched a whole bunch of holes next to each other and then turn it over and they all fall out through the top. And then it looks like one of those things, what do you call those things where you used to jump on the
pogo sticks?
Pogo stick. It looks like that, but with a wide barrel, and you can it's about this size of the plug. So I plant all those, and so I'm crossing my fingers that they actually grow in the spring.
I'll take pictures of that, because that's going to be insane. 800 bulbs.
I did throw away probably, I had 850. I probably threw away 50 to 75 of them because they just didn't look right.
So you only have 798 bulbs there.
Well, it's at least 700.
You're probably going to notice a huge difference. No, that would be awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You are like some of those people that like, you're so good about like doing something for future reward,
Am I?
I think so, because you have to plant something, and then you're like planning something that's going to happen like 4 months from now.
Well, I guess when I look at the entire area that I completely pulled everything out and it's barren land, I really want it to have something. So, that's interesting. When you think about planning kind of like that stuff, I think to myself, not that anyone really cares out there, but if you ever think about putting stuff in your yard, you're thinking evergreen versus like perennials that come every year, or it might die back in the winter and come back. But then there's certain ones that are annuals and you have to keep replanting and work so hard every year. I wanted a blend of, I wanted to start out with, make sure I have some evergreens. And then I have some of those bulbs are going to what they call naturalize, meaning they'll come back every year for a certain period of time. They may die off eventually, but they should give you some happiness for a few years in a row. But that's my understanding, because I never knew what the word naturalize meant in the gardening world. So part of them, about half of them are naturalizing and the others aren't. So you have to kind of like figure out which parts, there's so much planning and so many like things you have to think about, like lighting and how much moisture, like there's things that I would have never thought I'd be like a gardening kind of person back in the day. It wasn't part of my life other than put those evergreen kind of little things that'll grow on the ground and mow the lawn and edge. That was the extent. Yeah, there was no like, that wasn't part of, if it was, I don't remember it. I just remember mowing the lawn and edging, and that's kind of boring. And I mean, what does it give you? You just keep it from looking bad versus like creating something new. So there's a lot of creativity and a lot of thought that goes into, and I'm like a total beginner. But
do you guys have like a master gardener program then? I would assume with like
there are definitely master gardening programs. I just haven't looked into it.
Yeah, I know that there is a master gardening program here too, and I just don't know what, because I obviously don't garden, so it's not in my wheelhouse. But I was just kind of curious about that because, that seems like an interesting thing. Yeah,
so I bought actually a course that has to do with gardening. It was, they did good marketing on me, I guess. I was targeted quite well. And I just
those pixels are like, ooh, she's evergreen and she's annual and she's bulbing with we're gonna get her.
I'm such a sucker. So I'm just like, oh, I gotta get that. I'm like, I don't think I would have ever thought I'd buy plants or bulbs. Actually, the next thing I need to buy is I want to get rhizomes. People don't know what rhizomes are, but some people obviously do. But the canna lilies, I know them by name now, do remarkably well in Austin. And the rhizomes were given to me by someone building a pool. So they had to get rid of these to make way for building the pool. And they're going to re-landscape. So I got rhizomes that I put them in the ground, and then they did okay, and then went away, and I thought they were dead. They come back and they come up, and then we had the freeze. Everything has shot up. It's almost 6 or 7 feet tall, these canna lilies.
Wow.
Yeah, so I want to get some to put around a big ugly city sewer drain thing and let them kind of come up and down. And so I got to buy rhizomes by mail. There you go. That's my excitement. And
that is excitement.
No one really is going to find it exciting unless I do the same kind of thing. So
I don't know though. I that sounds like some limited beliefs around people's perceptions of rhizomes, because someone right there, but oh my God, rhizomes, talk more.
Just the word.
Talk more, Dr. Katie, about rhizomes.
Yeah. No, not ribosomes. Rhizomes.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, let's clarify that. No, that was kind of that's kind of my exciting stuff, that I'm just trying to create things. And then I got to see my family, and that was very nice. And see them again for the Christmas holidays. So there was something else I was going to mention, and I got so sidetracked with my garden stuff. There's
something for the week.
Oh, I transplanted a loquat tree. I think it's going to die.
Oh, that's the saddest news I've ever heard.
I know. I tried to go around it and get as much of the roots, and I probably didn't do enough research. But I do have one loquat tree that was an easy transplant. But the one I dug up out of my own native yard, if it survives, it'll be the most amazing, resilient tree ever, because it survived the freeze and it survived the Katy dig.
Well, you better baby that puppy.
I know. I need to go out there and water
loquats. Oh my God, I love loquats.
I know. I think I'll have at least one good loquat tree, but I don't know if I'll have the second. I really wanted it just for help with extra pollination.
Yeah. Oh,
But
loquat. I want loquat.
but if it dies, maybe I'll just buy another little loquat and just put it in there. So I know in the next 10 years, I gotta have a loquat tree that is of acceptable size and fruit production. So if Kevin ever comes to Austin, he can have some.
If you had loquats, I would definitely come to Austin. There's yeah, we can talk.
I might be ready for you then.
But man, oh, loquats. It's just yeah. And for anybody who has not had them, loquats, I think I've raved about them before. They're just, and they're these weird fruits that you're not going to find in the grocery store. And loquats are just awesome. They're so good. And they kind of look like an apricot, but they don't taste an apricot, and they're not in the same family as one. But man, yeah. And I think when you harvest them, the skin is so delicate. So they gave them to my wife, her patients in San Diego would give them to her, and they would cut the whole branch.
Oh, wow.
But they were in bundles on the branch, and then they would bring these bags with the branch with the loquats hanging on them. And the only reason I can only assume that you do that just to keep them in good shape, because these were beautiful, absolutely just gorgeous fruit.
Yeah.
So tasty. And I didn't even know they existed.
Well, it's probably a 2-for-1. You're probably getting it's coming from a non-master gardener, but it retains a little bit of the energy so that it doesn't go bad quickly. And then also you're doing a pruning effect on the tree itself to enhance, I guess, a little bit more production.
So yeah, I want loquats, and I'm looking forward to yours.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to work on that. Any other last comments or anything before you take us out?
Last comments. No, it is December 11th if you're hearing this later. And we're just kind of hitting into the holiday season, and we'll close out the year hopefully strong. So
there you go.
Yeah. All right. Should I say take us out?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us for Saturday Salutations here on The Changed Physician. We always enjoy having you give us any feedback if you have any, or listen surreptitiously and then talk to Melissa later and tell her stories. But you can learn more about us at thatchangedphysician.com. Join whether you're a physician or a physician ally. We are always on, well, not always, almost always on Saturdays between 12 and 1 Pacific, which I do believe is 2 and 3 p.m. Central Time. And until next week, stay well.
Take care.